Emperor Meiji helped Japan catch up with the rest of the world. When he became emperor, Japan was quite traditional, but he opened it up, adopting new technologies and ideas from other countries, making Japan a strong and modern nation. Mutsuhito, posthumously honored as Emperor Meiji, was the 122nd emperor of Japan according to the traditional order of succession, reigning from 1867 until his death in 1912. His reign is associated with the Meiji Restoration of 1868, which ended the Tokugawa shogunate and began rapid changes that transformed Japan from an isolationist, feudal state to an industrialized world power. Emperor Meiji was the first monarch of the Empire of Japan and presided over the Meiji era. Prince Mutsuhito was born on November 3, 1852 in a small house on his maternal grandfather's property at the north end of the Gasho. At the time, birth was culturally believed to be a source of pollution, so the imperial prince was not born in the palace. Instead, it was common for members of the imperial family to be born in a structure, often temporary, near the pregnant woman's father's house. The Prince Mutsuhito's mother, Nakayama Yoshiko, was a concubine to his father Emperor Komiai, and she was the daughter of the acting major counselor, Nakayama Tadayasuda. The young prince was given the title Sachinomiya, or Prince Sachi. The young prince was born into an era of great change in Japan. This change was symbolized dramatically in July 1853 when Commodore Matthew Perry and his American Naval Squadron sailed into the harbor at Edo, nowadays we known as Tokyo. Perry sought to open Japan up to international trade and showcased the modern cannons that his naval fleet equipped. Emperor Komiai, who is father of Emperor Meiji, tells officials advised that they felt they should agree to trade with the Americans and asked that they be informed in advance of any steps to be taken upon Perry's return. The Japanese government decided that their military was no match for the American military and thus allowed trade and submitted to what it dubbed the unequal treaties. Unequal treaties meant giving up tariff authority and the right to try foreigners in its own courts. Emperor Komiai fell seriously ill at the age of 36 and died on 30 January 1867. In a brief ceremony in Kyoto, the Crown Prince formally ascended to the throne on February 13, 1867. The new emperor continued his classical education. The Emperor of Japan announces to the sovereigns of all foreign countries and to their subjects that permission has been granted to the shogun Tokugawa Yoshinobu to return the governing power in accordance with his own request. We shall henceforward exercise supreme authority in all the internal and external affairs of the country. Consequently, the title of emperor must be substituted for that of tycoon, in which the treaties have been made. Officers are being appointed by us to the conduct of foreign affairs. It is desirable that the representatives of the treaty powers recognize this announcement. On October 23, 1868, the era was changed from Keio to Meiji. On March 23, the Dutch minister-resident Dirk de Graaf van Polsbroek and the French minister-resident Léon Roches were the first European envoys ever to receive a personal audience with the new Emperor Meiji in Edo. On April 7, 1868, the emperor was presented with the Charter Oath, a 5-point statement of the nature of the new government. The statement was designed to win over those who had not yet committed themselves to the new regime. On September 19, 1868, the emperor announced the name of the city of Edo was to be changed to Tokyo, meaning Eastern Capital. He was formally crowned in Kyoto on October 15. Soon after his coronation, the emperor journeyed to Tokyo by road, visiting it for the first time. He arrived in late November and began an extended stay by distributing sake among the population. The population of Tokyo was eager for an imperial visit. The Japanese take pride in the Emperor Meiji restoration, as it and the accompanying industrialization allowed Japan to become the preeminent power in the Pacific and a major player in the world within a generation. The Industrial Revolution in Japan occurred during the Meiji era. The Industrial Revolution began around 1870 as Meiji-era leaders decided to catch up with the West. The government built railroads, improved roads, and inaugurated a land reform program to prepare the country for further development. It inaugurated a new Western-based education system for all young people, sent thousands of students to the United States and Europe, and hired more than 3,000 Westerners to teach modern science, mathematics, technology, and foreign languages in Japan. In 1871, a group of Japanese politicians known as the Iwakura Mission toured Europe and the US to learn Western ways. The result was a deliberate state-led industrialization policy to enable Japan to quickly catch up. Japan developed modern industry through direct state intervention. Government-owned enterprises were important to the development of key economic sectors like railways. Through government connections, major private enterprises received various forms of financial support from the state. Modern industry first appeared in textiles including cotton and especially silk, which was based in home workshops in rural areas. The first railway was opened between Tokyo and Yokohama in 1872. The process of modernization was closely monitored and heavily subsidized by the Meiji government, enhancing the power of the great Zaibatsu firms such as Mitsui and Mitsubishi. Soon after Meiji's ascension, the emperor's officials presented Ichijo Haruko to him as a possible bride. The future empress was the daughter of an imperial official, and was 3 years older than the groom, who would have to wait to wed until after his Genpoku means manhood ceremony. The two married on January 11, 1869. Known posthumously as Empress Dowager Shokin, she was the first imperial consort to receive the title of Kogo means the emperor's wife, in several hundred years. Although she was the first Japanese empress consort to play a public role, she bore no children. However, the Meiji emperor had 15 children by 5 official ladies-in-waiting. First concubine of Emperor Meiji is Himura Mitsuko, who is the mother of his first child Wakamitsuruhiko no Mikoto. Wakamitsuruhiko no Mikoto was stillborn, and Mitsuko died of complications from his delivery 5 days later. Mitsuko was assisted in the delivery by Kusumoto Ayane, the first woman doctor of Western medical training in Japan. Second concubine of Emperor Meiji is Hashimoto Natsuko, and the mother of his first daughter Wakadakyorihime no Mikoto. Wakadakyorihime no Mikoto was stillborn, and Natsuko died of complications from her delivery. Third concubine of Emperor Meiji was Yanagiwara Naruko, which also known as Sawarabi no Tsubone, was a Japanese lady-in-waiting of the Imperial House of Japan. She was the mother of Emperor Taisho and the last concubine to have given birth to a reigning Japanese emperor. Fourth concubine of Emperor Meiji was Chigusa Kotoko. She gave birth to 2 daughters who died of meningitis in infancy. Fifth concubine of Emperor Meiji of Japan was Sono Sachiko. Although Meiji was the last Japanese emperor to have more than one consort, the official role at court was not abolished until 1924. Surviving concubines remained as members of the imperial family in retirement. Emperor Meiji had 15 children, which is 5 of them were sons and 10 were daughters, 5 of them whose a son and 4 daughters reached adulthood. There are a lot of legacy of Emperor Meiji behind. Number 1 is, the Emperor Meiji restoration saw the abolition of the feudal system, including the abolishment of the samurai class and the establishment of a national army. Number 2 is a constitution was adopted in 1889, establishing a parliamentary system with a diet. Number 3 is Japan embraced industrialization, building railroads, establishing factories, and developing a strong military and navy. Number 4 is a national education system was established, promoting universal education and emphasizing moral training. Number 5 is Japan, which had been isolated for centuries, opened its ports to foreign trade and began to learn from Western countries, adopting their technology, customs, and institutions. Number 6 is the Meiji government focused on building a strong military, which allowed Japan to become a major power in East Asia and to successfully fight wars against China and Russia. Number 7 is Japan pursued overseas expansion, annexing Taiwan in 1895 and Korea in 1910. Number 8 is the Meiji reforms transformed Japan into a modern, industrialized nation, capable of competing with Western powers. Number 9 is the reforms helped to unite the country under the emperor, fostering a sense of national identity and patriotism. Number 10 is Japan's modernization under Emperor Meiji allowed it to become a major player on the world stage, challenging the dominance of Western powers. Number 11 is the Meiji period is remembered as a period of rapid progress and transformation, laying the foundation for Japan's future as a major economic and political power.